Hello, welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 17 of Dungeon Meshi. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So I'm interested to see where things are going, because last we left off, there's that whole business about black magic and the idea that Fallen is now monstrous in appearance. So, I'm wondering how are things going to get resolved, because it feels like the coalition between all these parties is rather tenuous. So, Shuro seems to be in a position where he doesn't want to leave Fallen dead, but he doesn't want her brought back through dark magic either. And, both extremes are unsavory. And I guess this guy, he's speaking some real sense here. It's like, Shuro, if you were in Liza's position, you would have done the same thing, and you know it, and that's why you're mad. To a degree. The taboo of dark magic is, sort of above and beyond this whole thing, but I feel like, yeah, the temptation certainly would have been there if he had the means. Maybe this whole thing wouldn't necessarily have happened if Marcel hadn't studied up, so to speak, but, even so, I feel like, the option wouldn't necessarily have been off the table. Man. Feel bad for Chilchuk. Poor guy has to be the voice of reason. Now I wonder if we're going to learn a bit more about Shuro, because he's sort of like the guy we know the least about, And I feel like it would only make sense to sort of learn about him now that he's being reintroduced to the party. It already seems like the way he's acting is out of the ordinary, which should be telling enough. Ooh. Harpies. Yeah, those are nasty critters. And I feel like with everybody being melee-oriented, this isn't exactly a good matchup. And speaking of not a good matchup, I can't imagine Shuro would be all too cordial with Marcel. Not to absolve everyone else, but I feel like Marcel kind of made a unilateral decision. Again, I can't blame her, but man. So I'm still not sure what exactly Kabru's deal is, because he seems to be, I guess, a pragmatist, essentially, but I'm not sure what his motivation is. Because initially it was just like, oh, let's find the people who robbed us, but, you know, it turned out to be a bit more complicated than that. Yeah, now I can't say I blame Chilchuk for starting to scheme here. You know, the idea that this coalition might fall apart. I mean, it would be wise to sort of be prepared to, you know, jump everyone else before they get you. But at the same time, you know, maybe worry about the harpies, especially seeing as how, you know, this person seemingly died just now. Ooh. So this is something alright. I mean, this is going to be a rather rude awakening for all involved. I can only imagine how Shura would feel, seeing as how, you know, he knows dark magic was involved, and now this. So, I mean, this is a pretty horrible thing to see. So, I mean, like, how could you even begin to approach undoing something like this? So, I mean, like, looking at Falin, like, she's some horrible chimeric creature, like, not even, like, Falin plus bits of dragon, but there's, like, bits of other monsters, too, like the feathers and the wings and all that. Now that's, probably not the best approach, calling out to Falin and trying to get her attention. Because, I mean, you know, suppose the monster does recognize you. That's not good. But at the same time, suppose, like, Falin decides to start causing trouble and killing. Like, how can you fight back? Oh, good lord. That was, rather brutal. I mean, I guess it's nice to see, like, a really monstrous monster, even if it is Falin. And I guess, in a sense, that just adds to the tragedy of it. Because, you know, Falin would never go for this sort of thing normally, but her will is not entirely her own. You know, we're not sure as to the full extent of it, but she's definitely under the thrall of the Mad Mage, and that's gotta count for something. Ooh, so I wondered, does that guy have like a water weird or something in his flask? Because that might come in handy. Man, like, it's unsettling how supernaturally strong Falin seems to be. Being able to lift up that poor character like that. Like, that's something, you know. That's not normal. Yeah, you know, Kebra makes a good point. Like, you know, Falin's already killed several people by this point. You know, maybe you should start getting a little serious here. Wow. So that's really not good. You know, Falin is able to cast spells too. Now, I feel like maybe it's not wise to just, like, stand around and get killed like that. I feel like maybe if these people were just a bit more serious, they could do something. But, like, I guess I understand why Laius and most of the others are unable. I mean, imagine being in this situation. I mean, like, witnessing something like this, I don't think I'd be able to keep a calm head. Man. So all this is just coming back to bite Laius, because, you know, he himself... but he seems to be going for it. Like, he knows not to trust monsters and all that, but I don't know if he can live up to his own ideals. 'Cause, I mean, there's no reason to believe that this monster isn't trying to prey on him, even if it does look like Fallen. And, you know, it might even be Fallen to a degree. Wow. Man, that's pretty brutal. I have to say, I do like the violence. It is refreshing, if, you know, frequently unsettling. But it's... I guess it aids the realism of it, for want of a better term. You know, these are fantasy monsters and all that, but... You know, they don't shy away from brutality all that much. Now, I guess I do have to say... Oh, good lord, so he's dead too. Man. But I was gonna say, for Fallen to be, like, slashed across the throat and seemingly stabbed in the heart and all that, it doesn't seem to have done much to actually kill her, so I feel like with her freakish monster physiology, she's gotta have, like, redundant organs or something like that. Man. Oh, that's really bad. Ooh. To be impaled like that is, probably pretty darn horrible. Like, I guess the only upside is that maybe, like, the utter trauma of it would, you know, kill you immediately. Like, ah. Man, so just like that, most of these people are dead now. I mean, it's just, Lias, Marcel, Senshi, and a few others. I mean, we didn't see what happened to Chilchuk, you know. Like, who knows, really? I mean, fortunately, maybe, like, some of these people can be saved. Like, Kabru. Wow. Like, I guess it's lucky they saved him, but... Man. Okay, so they do manage to save most of these people. I was gonna say, I feel like, considering how thoroughly they had been squashed, you know, it might be beyond the abilities of those present. Wow. Ooh, yeah. I think it's understandable why they wouldn't want Marcel to help out, especially after everything that's happened so far. Now, I feel like Shuro's pushing a little too far. I mean, we do know for a while that Fallen was normal and that it was the Mad Mage who did this. I don't think it's necessarily fair to pin all this on Marcel. At least not all of it. I mean, she's certainly none too happy about what happened. Man, so it seems like there's no way out of this. I mean, now they're getting the elves involved, and it seems like, that was like the big thing everybody kind of wanted to avoid doing. But, I mean, that's it then. And I guess that's the issue, you know, how does this whole thing get resolved? I mean, I can only imagine you'd have to use more black magic to get out of this, but... Well, I guess that's the other thing. You know, if you kill the Mad Mage, the whole bit about being subordinated to him is now moot. But, you know, that's, much easier said than done, I imagine. So I guess, he kind of makes a compelling point here. You know, you can't send Marcel away because she's the only one with the sort of knowledge to undo what's been done. Yeah, you know, I'm not sure if that was warranted, but, maybe, they haven't gotten it out of their systems, Sometimes you just have to hit people and get hit. Ooh, okay. That's an interesting way of looking at it. We've been eating and sleeping properly, you haven't, therefore, we know what's going on here more than you. We're more reasonable. And, that doesn't necessarily track, but he does have a bit of a point. I guess proper nutrition would help in, considering the situation. But that said, this whole group has fallen apart, and there's no real fixing that. And it seems like, I guess everything's coming out into the open here. I mean, I feel like maybe this isn't the time to air that particular grievance. Yeah, I mean, some of this is definitely on Shuro. If Laius was, being stupid and suffering from poor timing, the least he could do is be direct. Yeah, you know what? The more I think about it, I think this really is the solution. They just need to beat each other up until they just sort of work out their differences. That's really the only way to get through this. Because otherwise, nothing's going to get done. I guess Marcel does have a point. Time is of the essence, and they don't have much of it. But at the same time... Oh! Missing. So she mentioned missing people, and I feel like if we haven't seen Chilchek, he's likely one of them. And that's no good, Man, I'm wondering if that's a running theme, like, hey, Marcel, no more magic from you. But, man, I mean, she didn't mean harm, I guess. Lame excuse though it is. Oh, there's Chilchuk. Okay. Man, I thought that would have been an interesting twist if Chilchuk had been taken by Fallen. I mean, obviously we didn't see that happen, but it would have been, something. He could be like a guy on the inside learning about what the Mad Mage is up to and all that, but... Man. I'm glad he's not dead, I guess. And I'm glad, Shuro and Laius seem to have sort of worked out their issues. At least enough to the point where they can sort of like sit down and Shuro can eat. Ooh, okay. So it seems like he's sort of been convinced to Laius' side of the argument. They need to go up, return, rest, and do all that. Man. This seems to have, I guess, worked out more than we would have initially assumed, although... Huh. So he's just leaving then. I'm not sure I like that. I feel like he should stick around and help. But, man. Okay, I mean, I guess, for one thing, he's received some degree of closure. But on the other hand, like, surely you can't just give up, right? I mean, he makes it pretty clear he still does like Fallen, but... I'm trying to think, like, if I were in his position... I don't think I could just let this go. Even if I do agree to go along with Lias's plan, there's too much that hasn't been resolved here, I would need to see this through to the end. And I guess, the end doesn't mean as much, seeing as how death isn't final, strictly speaking, but I feel like that's what I would have to do, Help Fallen or die trying. Alright, so this is interesting. I guess Lias noticed the thing I did. All those stabs to the organs and all that proved ineffective, meaning either there are organs there, but, they're not the only ones of their function. Yeah, okay. So I guess even if they did get stomped pretty hard, they learned something. This is something they can leverage further on. Where, maybe the goal isn't to kill Fallen, but, if they understand her chimeric physiology, they could better, hamstring her, so to speak. Now that's an interesting proposition. There was that whole legend in the beginning of the first episode where if you kill the Mad Mage, you get all his stuff, essentially. But the question is, if Lias were to inherit all of this, would he be, better or worse? Because the idea is, if you get all the stuff, then, you're effectively the lord of the dungeon, do you continue it? Do you keep it going, or what? And, I guess it's one of those things where, nobody who aspires to have power deserves to have it, But I guess this is tempered by the fact that Lias is more interested in saving his sister than killing the Mad Mage for its own merit. Wow. I'm not sure I can relate to that. I'd rather kill somebody than eat this disgusting food. Man. I guess despite all of the horrors of this episode, everybody still gets to share a meal, which is something, I suppose. It's probably better than most of them could have expected at the midpoint of this episode. Okay, so I guess as one last parting gift, Shuro's giving them an out, essentially. I guess that's nice, but at the same time, I'm still not sure how I feel about him just, packing up and heading home. And similarly, the way Kabru is talking, it seems like they're not necessarily going to stick around either. And, yeah, I'm not sure I feel about that either. Because, what's the point then? Everybody's just packing up and heading home except for Lias and the usual crew? Man, Chilchuk was right again, I guess. Everything was seemingly a bad idea, and even though things seem to be on the mend, it's not over yet. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. See you, Space Cowboy.